Hi, everyone. I'm number 4. Pat, Eric, Gerald, Nadine. There were 2 more after me, and you'll hear from them as well. I'm going to lighten it up a little because my brother had an incredible sense of humor. Okay, super funny. Did you see the one with the car? He was in the car. There was actually 2 pictures. The calm one was first, and the one where it looked like he was driving and kind of going crazy, he was still just sitting in the car. It was not moving. But that was just my brother. Well, I'm going to tell you a story of my brother, Pat, at 16 years old, okay, which is tells me a lot. It's a lot about my brother, who he became, was actually what he was as a teenager. So when my brother was 16 years old, as Carol said, he was kind of the mediator between my mom and Carol, perhaps. Well, he came up with his own mediation at 16. He was a little bit dismayed over repetitive arguments that my mother and him were having. You know, typical teenage stuff. Now, if you want to picture my brother at 16, it's the one with the sideburns. He was the black and white one. He was standing in our kitchen in Winter Haven. So you visualize it, there's a picture of him back there. That's the story. I'm telling you the story of him at that age. So being the diplomat he was, or at least becoming, he drafted a contract between my mom and himself. Shortly, I'll be reading said document. He wrote, and you'll hear all the impressive words he managed to infuse into this treaty of peace and love. Now, maybe he had amassed this extensive vocabulary in his short 16 years on the planet, but I think he most likely spent some time immersed in the Costello's extensive collection of Encyclopedia Britannicas. There was no internet when he was 16. In any event, between the impressive words and the smartly arranged compliments, the covenant between my mother and my brother was executed on March 14th, 1969, when my brother was 16. Here is the document. I hereby proclaim the litigation or imbroglio, and I had to look that one up, imbroglio, which is a same thing as litigation, between 2 persons of this family, my dear mother and I, has been brought to a close on March 14, 1969. Under this treaty, I promise not to bicker, argue, discord, debate, dispute, contend, wrangle, controvert, or to be unreasonable with her. I shall also regard, revere, reverence, venerate, halo, or esteem my dearest, thoughtful, and beloved mother, under 3 conditions: that she will not molest or bestow upon me on these 3 important topics. Number 1, smoking. Number 2, my sideburns. And number 3, her trust in me. Now, this covenant was signed in blood, red pen. And this is what it looked like. He wrote it in pencil on a piece of notebook paper, and he wrote Mrs. D. Costello, because I guess, you know, Mrs. Daniel Costello was her husband. She signed it, he signed it, and there you go. Life was happily ever after in the Costello family. Not, but at least he got a good shot. You know, I read this contract and just really brought to mind how creative my brother was, how thoughtful he was, how loving he was. He just had so many things about him. He was very introspective. He was very deep, but at the same time, he could be so light with his humor. I mean, his humor was really incredible. And as everyone said before, I will miss him and Evelyn both. But I tell you what, I'm so blessed to have had them both in my life. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm number 5. I'm one of Pat's younger brothers, Gerald. I just wanted to thank everyone who came out today to support us. Remember Pat and Evelyn, you know, particularly the people from USF and Jim and Ashley. We really appreciate the support that you provided over the past several weeks. It's much appreciated. You know, and also I just want to acknowledge Evelyn's family. And, you know, we loved her deeply and we'll miss her deeply. And we're so sorry for your loss. And just wanted you to know that. You know, if you knew Pat, you knew he was the kind of guy that would do things for you without asking for credit for, he wouldn't ask for, you know, any kind of accolades. He would just do that because that was the kind of person he was. And, you know, when I was younger, and he, of course, was my older brother by 7 years, you know, during a difficult time in my life, he was there for me. He was somebody that would listen to me. He would give me advice. He would help me. And I'll forever be appreciative of what he did for me. You know, I was stationed in Germany, my last assignment in the Air Force before I retired. And I was there by myself. My family stayed in Colorado so my kids could remain in the same schools. And Pat and Evelyn came out to visit for a couple of weeks when I was there. And we had a great time. We went to, you know, places in Germany, but we also, the highlight of the trip was when we went to London and Paris. And we had a lot of great memories that I'll keep with me for the rest of my life. But one of the things that I really took note of and really noticed, because I spent so much time with them, is really how much they loved and cared for
Did better
each
than
other. It was very obvious. They were very tender to one
what
another.
happens when
You know,
you
Pat was
screw
very
around.
attentive to Evelyn, and it was really very, very touching. You know, and again, it really was an inspiration to me in terms of how you can be as a husband and wife. You know, the other thing is that, and I'm so grateful that Pat and Evelyn, you know, met and they were able to get married and spend life together and happiness together. And again, I'm so grateful for that, and I'll be that way for the rest of my life. And also, I mean, the care for that Pat demonstrated for Evelyn during a difficult time for her really demonstrates the courage and dedication that he showed, and that was really wonderful. And it's really kind of an inspiration for us all. You know, I was able to be here during the last few days of Pat's life and be with him. And one of the things that I take away from that experience is that life is very short. We don't know how much time that we have. And we need to take advantage of the time that we do have. If there's a place that you want to visit, if there's somebody that you've been needing to contact, if there's a family member that you want to connect with, don't wait, because you don't know how much time you have. You don't want to miss out on those kind of opportunities. Thank you.
How do you know this? That one
There's
more?
4 kids, he said.
Oh,
See, you didn't mute your phone.
Good morning. I'm Dominique. I'm the youngest of all the siblings, and I'm very grateful that you are all here today to support us. Even though Pat and Evelyn are no longer with us, they will remain alive in our thoughts and in our hearts for a lifetime. The experiences that I will remember, Pat's thoughtfulness, his attention to detail, his sense of humor, which we've all talked about this morning, that it always brightened my day. His creativeness, which even though you may not always have known or realized, has always inspired me. Pat was a leader in his family, the oldest of 6, and he was continuously looked up to by each of my brothers and sisters. He was a diligent and hardworking individual, and there was no problem or situation that he thought impossible to solve or that he couldn't be overcome. Pat was always tenacious about that. This tenacity, the strength was demonstrated the most by his love and dedication to Evelyn. When he met her, she completed his world, his life, by her tenderness and her thoughtfulness and her love. This love in action that he showed for his family, and more importantly for Evelyn, and the love that she expressed to him, is an inspiration to me, and I know should be to each of us as well. Both Pat and Evelyn would encourage us to not be afraid, to love unselfishly and tirelessly, to confront challenges head on, and most importantly, to never give up. Thank you, Pat and Evelyn. You will be greatly missed, and you will always be loved.